Over 60 men were killed in the worst special operations disaster in modern history.
Residents of Coronado, California were shocked by the brutal murder of Lauren Reece and her 3-year-old daughter.
Navy SEAL Lieutenant Commander James Reece survived the ambush but is under investigation.
Welcome to the Terminal List Podcast, an Ironclad original series presented by KC Cattle Company. I'm Jack Carr, the author of The Terminal List. On each episode, we break down a different episode from the Amazon Prime video series starring Chris Pratt. On today's show, we're taking a look at episode 5, Disruption. Joining me today is the series showrunner, writer, and producer, David DiGilio, and series producer, actor, technical advisor, and former Navy SEAL, Jared Shaw, who once again is the reason that we are here today and the reason that you can watch The Terminal List on Amazon Prime Video. All 8 episodes streaming now. But hey, if you have not watched them yet, stop listening to this and go watch them. Then come back, because this is our, there'd be spoilers. They will 100%, this whole thing is a spoiler. So watch it, then come back to us over here. And for those that listened to the last episode, episode 4, we were talking about Gary Tours, and it's our prop master. And this is what he wrote me a while back when I was trying to, because I knew that he had generations in the business. And for the new forward in the hardcover edition right here, I wanted to make sure that I got it right in here when I was thanking everybody. And this is what he wrote me. He said, 4th generation Hollywood, 3rd generation prop master. His dad's grandfather was a cinematographer going back to 1917 and before. So grandpa was a props man for 42 years. Dad was for 44 years. He'd been doing it his whole life. And so that's William Tours, then George William Tours, then George William Tours II, and then Gary Tours, continuing on that tradition right now. And this was pretty cool. That's what I wrote. I said, hey, wow, that's cool. And he writes, John Wayne was a prop man that worked for my grandfather when he was discovered.
Wow.
Crazy.
Amazing.
Crazy.
History, dude.
Yeah. Insane.
That's cool. Really cool.
That's insane. So yeah, Gary got all the weapons to include these ones. So I should have had these out. These were from the show right here. And there he is. That's episode 4 right there. So there's Pratt getting after it right there.
Yep.
And from some earlier ones right here. Look at this. And who's this guy over here? Who's that guy?
Who is that guy?
Boozer, Jared Shaw, right there.
Boom.
Yeah, right behind you, right there.
Yep.
And I love this one. I think this is the first day. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the first day?
Day 1.
Mm-hmm.
Day 1 of filming.
Where it all began.
Yeah, look at that. Well, I probably should
Really
be holding
cool.
those to this camera because I think that's where everybody's going to see them. But yeah, right there.
Amazing.
First day of filming. But look at those eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. So
He was
that's the
in it?
camera everybody's going to see right there. Look at that. In it.
The stare, dude.
Right
the stare.
there.
Nails it.
Yep, drinking
Very
some Hooten Young whiskey right there, former Delta guys.
Yes.
Throw a little love to the Army right there. And people might not recognize the email address that he uses later, HootenYoung@ProtonMail. So that was pretty cool.
At least right.
And the other star of the show right here, and I'm not talking about Constance. I'm talking about the Land Cruiser. Yeah, look at that thing. Look at that thing.
Hey,
Yeah.
now.
Constance is awesome too. But look at that
Okay.
Land Cruiser. Look at that FJ62 1988.
The man loves his Land Cruisers. Loves them.
And that very one is now in the driveway, thanks to George Sack, who did all the mobility for the show, who's just an incredible guy. So lucky to have him. And we talked in the last episode, episode 4, about this guy and all the wives liking him. But I don't know why. But that's Taylor Kitsch right there running the shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Running and gunning.
Ooh.
Nice.
I mean, look at that. He got
Beast.
good with that shotgun. He got
Beast.
good with that shotgun. And we're talking about things that get left on the cutting room floor. And this next photo pains me a little bit.
Oh, God. What is it?
But I'm going to show these guys right here in this camera. So if you see it right there, look at that. Look at what Chris is holding.
Oh, the A-dub. Dang.
He's on the A-dub right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, that was
like-
a moment.
One
That
of his
was a
guys
moment,
gets shot with the A-dub right there.
it was a
And
Jack-
he's still
that was a
plinking
Jack
away with this
special.
M4.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what would I do in that situation? Well, I'd sling that M4 and I'd get on that pig and start throwing some larger rounds downrange. And there it is, right there.
Oh, I love it.
Unfortunately, I mean, look at the fire out of that thing. I mean,
Yeah, what a
man,
cool shot.
pretty
It was
awesome.
that was incredible. I mean, I think that came from you, Jack, and we were in what's called Video Village, and we're watching it, and the sequence is just incredible. Antoine shooting the hell out of that tunnel sequence in the opening, and we're all just talking about Sangster's gun.
Yeah, Ryan Sangster.
Ryan Sangster. We're like, man, maybe Chris should have that gun.
Yeah.
And you
Every
came up
show-
with the way for him to get it. But then ultimately we're in there, and I think it was Chris, as we were in there with Antoine and stuff. He was like, I appreciate what you guys are trying to do for me here, but I'm in the chaos of it. And that's where it ended up. But that was a moment.
Well, I think
dude.
it works. It works. So when you guys watch the first episode, just in your minds, imagine Chris looking down, seeing that A-dub, and picking it up and going to town. Because, look at that. Oh, get some. Man,
And Dave,
awesome.
do you remember that we originally had the A-dub suppressed? And
Yes.
it was literally 2 minutes before action was called that Ray was like, man, I think we need to take the suppressor off of that A-dub.
Yep.
And so, and Antoine was right there. And he's like, oh yeah, get rid of it, And so that's what we ended up with. And, versus we run them suppressed tactically, it makes sense, but we knew visually,
right?
like this is going to be a shot. This is going to be pretty cool.
And we ended up with that trailer moment. And I think it's also in the opening credits, as you're kind of pushing in on the shell casings.
Oh, yeah.
The shot over Sangster's back, where he's silhouetted by the muzzle flash.
So
when we saw that moment, we were like, that is going to be in every trailer, every piece of material for this show.
Yeah, you called that immediately.
Immediately.
Right. Well, it was there, but it almost
amazing.
wasn't there. It almost
Seriously,
had
right?
that.
I mean, you guys,
there.
I could have showed up on set and it could have been all suppressed, and I would have been like, "Oh, awesome! This is tactically sound. Yeah, good job, guys."
I didn't.
But then we'd
like
have
I
like
said,
a black screen with nothing happening on it.
Yeah.
If we, like, filmed,
Yeah.
if we filmed in a dark tunnel with just the guys with nods on, well, you wouldn't even see them. So there's some Hollywood. So there is some Hollywood in here,
but it's
of course,
approved
because you have to
It's-
watch
it's-
something.
it's
You
Navy
can't
SEAL
just watch a
approved
black
Hollywood.
screen and hear Jared and Chris yelling at each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's this. We talked about this last episode, right there.
Ooh,
Steve Horn,
Such a great
right
scene.
there. So
great.
in DC,
God,
right
Jack
there.
Courtney.
Just
Jai
crushing.
Courtney, just man, and that scene, that picture, you see how powerful Horn is. Exactly.
Yeah,
and Jai's that in real life too. Jai is just a brick house, big dude.
Beast.
But then he translates that on screen with Steve Horn, and you see like, oh, okay, this dude is pretty serious.
Yep.
So Jai
It's
kills
so
it
perfect.
as always.
So perfect.
Yep.
Perfect as Horn. And then this one we talked about Riley Keough earlier on, and this picture right here like just captures it.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
she's so good. So good. I think we talked
so
about her in the
good.
first episode that we did of the podcast. Didn't have this photo out then.
Powerful.
But right there, I mean, she's so good, so talented. I love all her scenes are incredible. And then we talked about this guy in another scene too, right?
Oh,
there.
who's that?
Who's this actor?
Who is that
Where did you
actor?
guys find this guy? Because he pulls off playing an assassin and an operator, except for getting killed almost immediately. Other than
except
that,
for that.
like he really
Except for
pulls it off. So I don't know where you found this guy, but man.
I don't know. He's
got
getting a lot of
something.
notice.
He's got
though.
that thing.
He's getting
Yeah,
a lot
he
of
is.
notice.
Yeah.
Maybe a
You know, it
spin-off
was-
series. Maybe a spin-off
Yeah.
series.
Spin-off.
It was
Thinking.
cool. It was cool to see how many people knew instantly, Jack, that was you, and then I don't know if we talked about it on here previously or but somebody had noticed before the show came out, they saw your face in the rearview mirror in a shot, and
the beard. They saw your beard.
Yeah, and that's how close people are looking and
Terminal
how
Vengeance.
deep into it. Yeah.
Terminal
account.
Vengeance.
Terminal
Yeah. on
Vengeance
Twitter.
called that before anyone knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even know it was in
Yep.
there. We're
Yeah.
trying to kind of keep it a secret. Like when those little photos that I've been dropping on Terminal List
Yep.
Tuesdays in the lead up, we took a few out just because I was too bloody in it, and we didn't want people to to give it up. Wanted it to kind of be a surprise. And this kid caught it in the rearview mirror. I mean, he's got a future with like FBI, CIA,
does.
That kid is
something like that.
spot
He's
on.
on it.
He's smart.
Yeah,
He
we're
knows
gonna
his
have him on
homework.
this podcast. We're
Yeah.
gonna talk to him. We gotta talk to him.
Yeah, we got to.
Yeah,
Really
and for those that really know what they're looking for right here, they'll notice that the Gators sunglasses, they're the old school right there. They're super old school. Yeah, because it has the old symbol on them. And then we talked about this last episode as well, right there.
Special.
Dude.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's a great one.
Great
Marco. James Reece right there with the Eccles. Got the defender right there. And that's just a great shot. Love it. Awesome.
So great.
Well, let's get into episode 5.
Yes.
Little tribute to Heat in this one. I like how we had a little nod to
Michael
Heat,
Mann
obviously.
episode.
Yeah, Michael Mann, and an iconic, kind of a change actually in when you're talking about filmmaking and you're talking about authenticity, accuracy, actors really getting into the roles. I mean, we have people bringing the rifles to their shoulders, not for the first time, but it wasn't very common yet to actually bring the rifles to the shoulders, to actually use the sights, to change magazines, to use some tactics. And that wasn't really very common. It was all Hollywood for the most part leading up to that. And then something changed with Heat, which obviously is a fantastic film,
Iconic all-timer.
This is our nod right here. But we don't start with that. We start with a little Najaf, and we start with that guy. Look at this. Who's that guy?
Hey,
Boozer. Right there.
Man.
Yeah.
Look at
What a
that
fun
guy,
scene.
Jared Shaw. The reason that we're all here today. Jared gave the book to Chris, as we talked about in that first episode, and things went from there. And look at that, got a little Texas flag right there. Did you see?
You know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was from Arturo. Arturo gave me that. I still have that. I keep that, and I keep it because that's my own personal kit as well. And so I keep that flag on my kit always now. There's one from him, and then one that I had made from a buddy that had got killed in 2007. And so now those both, I keep them on my kit. Yep. Very special.
Man. Dude, and that those details, in that scene, one thing that's been really cool is that that's a scene that, again, we're pulling that out of the book. It's the true piece of how Reece and Liz met. And so it's playing for that reason. But then, dude, like I've seen multiple people from the operations community say in tweets and online, like just even the last man call and the way you guys constructed that sequence. And Tucker Gates is the director of this episode. Awesome. Awesome director. Yep. Again, like Fred Toy, a guy who has done the biggest shows out there. And Tucker and Armando Salas is the DP of this episode. The way they follow you guys through that sequence is just wicked. You are in it. Just really in it with you. And man, it's been cool to look at the reaction to that.
And people love, Dave, you're saying we're in it. It starts out, pretty heavy right away, but then you have the comedic side with Donnie, and people love that. People absolutely love that. There we are. But as Jack knows, in those situations, there's still humor in those situations. There's those still moments where team guys, something happened and you're like, well, that's still funny. We may be getting shot at, but that was still funny right there, what happened. And so that was, I don't know, Dave, I don't know if you wrote that or who wrote that.
So we have Olu and Tolu, who are incredible writers of this episode, just awesome dudes. I wish everybody would get a chance to spend time with these guys. They, like Jack, the power of positivity, that I always talk about with you, Jack, like just the way you carry yourself, the smile you bring, no matter what you're talking about, light, heavy, all of these things. Olu and Tolo have that quality too. Nice. And so it starts with them because this is an operator action scene. I have Max Adams in there working on it as well. Dan Shattuck, who's my number 2 in the writer's room. He also is looking at stuff. So this one, I can't remember who added the lines about having to take a shit. I can't remember if that was Olu and Tolu or Max, but it was in there from the beginning. By the time I saw it,
kind of sounds like Max.
I was going to say that may be a Maxism right there.
Yeah. But that's a big, it's a good lesson for people to know. Like when you write in for a TV show, it's no ego amigo stuff, right? Like you just like best idea. You're a team. You bring that team ethos. You got your episodic writer who's kind of like, leading the charge, but then like the showrunner has to look at it and just watch it and give no, and there's some showrunners who'll just grab it and just try to rewrite it right away. But what you really have to do is like empower your team to learn the lessons and pull it into the voice of the show. So that by the time it gets to you, it's just minor. Right. And that part's tough. That part's tough. It takes a little more time. But when you have tremendous writers working together and feeling empowered, you get really cool scripts.
Yeah.
And I was not there for this one. So how long did it take to film this sequence?
A day.
One day, you got all of this in one day.
One day. I'm pretty sure, right, Jared? I feel like we had one day on this and then maybe one day on something else out there.
Wow. That's a big day right there.
Yeah.
We did it. It was exactly one day. And I remember it because 3 weeks before that, I completely tore my bicep, tore it all the way through. Detached it from the bone, completely tore all the way through. Went to the doctor and he's like, hey, you have to have surgery on this. And I knew this scene was coming up. And I'm like, there's no way that I can miss this. And the doctor was amazing doctor. And he was like, well, okay, Jared, you're going to do that scene. You're going to go do it. And the next day you were having surgery. So Dave, I hid it from everybody.
You hid it
from everybody. I talked to Max Adams about it, cause I'm like, brother, what do I do? What do you think? And he's like, bro, if you can run and gun, do it. And, so I had him and I think of course told Ray, and so never said a word. So it was one day, did that day. And then the next morning,
dude, and you showed up the next day with this crazy like robot brace on. And we're like, what happened? Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. Had to wear it for the rest of the season. I was the rest of the filming. I was in a sling and a robotic arm and that whole thing. So yeah, all that to say it was one day and I never forget that.
And it's also when you talk about the different, visuals, we have tunnels and we have rain during the day. We have these different, we have the different weapons and all that stuff to tell the story and differentiate the scenes from one another. And here we have daylight. We don't have helmets on. Got some ball caps on. Some of the gear is more appropriate to that time frame. But that shines through here as well. People being able to say, oh, wait, which one was that? Not this one. They're so similar. No, because they're all so different, which is important. It's another thing that I took from you and from the last couple years is really differentiating those scenes like that. And we have Liz right here. There she is. Yeah. Tyner Rushing, who crutches it in everything that she does. I mean, she's got some great project. Under the Banner of Heaven, she was just in that. She's just got so much
Stranger
potential.
Things.
She's amazing. Yeah, Stranger Things. But look at that. That's awesome.
And she did the same thing. She went to the range with Ray, myself, Jai Courtney, and a couple times went to the range and put the work in for that scene right there, getting on the gun, getting comfortable, shooting.
That was incredible. That really was. I think that, looking at Tyner, and we talk about this, it's like you either have actors with a military background who are going to do exactly what Jared just talked about, work through weeks with a torn bicep, like just incredible discipline, right? To make sure you get what you need. Or you have actors like Taylor, Tyner, like just who are willing to put in the work so that operators, military veterans, combat veterans believe what they're doing. And man, that scene, I love that scene. And
look at the makeup. Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, that is why. I mean, it looks so great.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a wicked. And I think it kind of tells you, right, that scene, it kind of tells you again, something different is going to happen in this episode.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, like the kind of crossover from Navy SEAL into Insurgent, which is such a big thematic of the book. And that's what we're saying by opening up back in Najaf in this moment.
Got the ACOG on there.
We're reminding you of who he was fighting, right? Before he becomes that insurgent in the streets of San Francisco.
Yep. No, this scene is I love it. You guys do. I wish I would have been there for it. And then you got this come. Well, also Justin Lubin took all these. Justin Lubin took all these photos. He was there every single day on set, capturing these memories, and just did such an incredible job. You can follow him. Look up Justin Lubin on Instagram. He's been posting a bunch of them, and from a bunch of the other shows that he's been involved in. But incredible guy, amazing photographer, and real human being.
And that shot, the reverse of that shot, that conflation of Lucy into this memory, because you think it's just a straight flashback, right? Yep. Like you're in it and you think it's just a straight flashback, and then this conflation happens and Lucy from the Starling memory shows up, and that's like that Armando Tucker special, like just that push in, and the guy's like on the heavy guns behind her in super slow motion firing. Bah, bah, bah. I mean, that, unreal cool visual moment.
It really is. And look at this guy right here. There he is. There's Jared Shaw's Boozer.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, right there.
We go.
Who's this guy? Who's that guy?
He's that guy. He's that guy.
Yeah,
there he is.
Right there.
Chris Pratt.
And there's Tyner. There's Arlo right here. I mean,
Arlo.
That's a powerful scene too. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really
and that's hard.
Powerful.
That's hard on a young actress. We have Wind Machines. Again, it's like at this point, it's summer in Santa Clarita. It's 100+ degrees.
Yeah.
Wind machines blowing, dust blowing, all these things. And she's got to stay focused with her eye line, deliver that with all the same emotion that she had when she was back on stage in a controlled environment with with Riley there, all her support team there. I mean, Arlo did incredible work on this show.
She did.
Being a young actress or any age actress, just unreal. She just kind of got what it takes.
Yeah, no, she crushed it in that. Jared, what else do you remember from that day other than having a torn bicep?
Yeah, I remember Taylor on the A-dub. He rocked that thing. We were just talking in the previous episode about him rocking it on the shotgun, and then we go into this one and he's on the A-dub. And I mean, Dave, like you were talking about, you see it in the background during that conflation, but him being able to maneuver and manipulate it, and just he sold it, and Patrick did well, Donnie in that scene did well, but it was a fast pace. Like we talked about, we had one day to do this, and that was a lot of action in one day. And so once again, you can't not mention Ray Mendoza on this, and Keith Willard. Keith was coordinating on that one, but Ray building this scene out, and then explaining to the Chris, myself, Patrick and Taylor, like, hey, this is how it's got to be done, but everybody picked it up quick and we were able to get it. And it's just an action packed, cool scene. I think for me personally, it's my favorite that I was able to be a part of the scenes that I worked on. I think there was just something really cool about this from like start to finish. It's just really, really a cool, powerful scene.
I think the thing like people might not know is just how small that little van is that you guys are driving in.
Like terrible.
It's incredible, right? Because it's hard perspective, right? Sometimes it's hard to tell in 2 dimensions. But we had the 4 of you guys and camera people. Like honestly, it was like a clown car. Like that's what it was like. It was this like little Matchbox car of a van. And big Chris, I think we had to take the seat out to fit Chris Pratt in this van. That is a true story.
A big boy.
That is
no
a true
AC.
Story.
No AC,
totally
hot.
Yep. Yeah. Unreal, man. Unreal. But such a cool way to start the episode. And in we go, man. Steve Horn on the list.
Yep. Steve Horn, this guy right here. And look at that. Oh, there he is.
Oh, yeah.
Bam. Look at that guy.
Oh, man, I love that.
Look at that guy
too.
right there. Yep. Steve Horn. Yep. And his scenes with Mike Tedesco. So a little bit of different Mike than the book.
Yep.
Same name, but a little bit different character in here to propel the story forward. And I like that. You know, I like that it's just there's slightly different variations, but then sometimes there's a little nod to the former character in the book and all that stuff. And then we're going to jump forward in the scene that actually where Mike Tedesco gets taken off the list is somebody else going forward. So then, the viewer has this conflation. Reece is having this conflation. And so so I think it works so well. Yeah. But those scenes with Horn and with Mike Tedesco, they're great.
They're awesome.
So fantastic.
So that's Paul McCrane. He was on ER back in the day.
He's so good.
He's so good. And one of the reasons he's so good is he's now a director himself. He has transitioned from acting to directing. And so he looks at everything holistically. And it is awesome to work with actors who kind of have that knowledge and really like understand on the filmmaking side what you're going for. He's a wonderful, wonderful counterbalance to how big and physical Jai is. Mm-hmm. And in the scene, one of the scenes that I really love is the scene where Katie / Constance corners him in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. After this interview. Because he's just kind of had this like kind of heartfelt moment where he talks about what inspired him to start studying the brain. Mm-hmm. And she knows, like in this moment, okay, this is the guy. He definitely is the one behind RD4895. But this little robot of a corporate person is controlling this interview, so I got to get the fuck out of that, right? And so she follows him into that bathroom. And that moment where she reveals the truth of the study, and he's like, that line where he's like, I genuinely, very genuinely have no idea what you're talking about. Paul's delivery on that, oh my God.
That's fantastic.
It's awesome because that's the Tedesco from the book. The Tedesco from the book is like kind of the reluctant participant.
Yep.
He's pulled into the web by other people and he can't get out of it.
Yep.
And so we're like, oh, well, what if we like see if we can get him out? Like, what if maybe there's a way to get him out? Mm. And you have this little moment of like kind of hope for Tedesco. You empathize with that guy because Paul, he's just a lovely person. You just empathize with this guy. And there, well, I don't want to get ahead of the story, but love that scene.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. All those guys when they're talking together, and in that last one when Horn and Mike are talking together and kind of having a little bit of moment, but they're both playing. Like
okay, there's
Mike already knows what he's done, and then Steve, is about to find out, but already suspects, kind of a thing. Like it's such a great scene with those two.
There's a cameo in that scene, right, Jared? There's a cameo in that scene most people don't know about. Oh, it's Dan Shattuck's whiskey collection. Dan Shattuck is insane about whiskey, and he brought in his personal whiskey collection. It's on Horn's cart, and we were gonna feature it and talk about killing your darlings. Didn't make the cut.
What whiskey was it?
Bummer.
Oh, I can't remember now. I'd have to call him up, but it's a high end, very high end whiskey.
Yeah.
Maybe a Japanese whiskey that he has.
Okay.
That he's drinking in front of those windows and those gorgeous shots. But
nice,
but yeah,
right,
gotta give a shout out.
Shot. There we go. Shout out to Dan.
Yeah.
And Dan's whiskey.
And Dan's whiskey. I love it.
That's amazing. And let's talk a little bit about JD Pardo, Agent Leun, and Mac.
Oh my God, we didn't even get into them in 4.
Yeah, because they're not in the story. They're not in the book. But if they weren't in the show, then visually all you would have is Reece running around killing people, and in the book he's thinking about what's happening. Like, okay, they're probably after me. I need to do these things, that sort of a thing. Or now they're about to come after me, or after this one. And a lot of the killing he does in the book, it's not like to hide the crime. It's just to hide it for a little bit, to give him a little time. Yeah. Like eventually they're going to find out this. Eventually, it's just to buy a little time. So the things that he does, to the bodies or what are the crime scenes or whatever, is just to buy a little time because he knows he's on the clock and he's got a timeline and he's got to finish this list before he dies. So there's a ticking clock there. But now we get to see the other side. So now we have the manhunt, and we have these characters, which are great characters, by the way, and necessary to propel the story forward. So some people are like, it's not the same. These guys weren't in the book. And I know. Thanks.
Well, they are in the book. You just don't see them.
But you just don't exactly because it's all
exactly right.
Reece. And if we put any more on Chris Pratt, like he might not have made it.
I think that's a great point. We've talked about
a lot
this
on his shoulders.
We've talked about this before, but it's a good moment to kind of call it out, which is if you did the straight adaptation of the Terminal List, you would kill Chris Pratt because the book is like every scene almost outside of a few conspiracy scenes is in Reese's point of view. And so if you do a straight 8-hour adaptation, Chris worked 100-hour weeks with crazy forces and turnarounds and these things that are super hard on an actor EP, even with what we did. But we knew we needed other point of view characters. Yeah. We had to take the load off our star, right? So we expanded Katie's point of view by, like we mentioned, in the book, she goes to her brother's cabin as a safe house. Well, we're going to see her at her brother's beach house. The point of view that is in the book of law enforcement that is there and alluded to, we're going to see it personified through Tony Leone, Mac Wilson, and the FTF. And holy crap, J.D. Pardo, star of Mayans, finds out about this role. And is like, I want in on this show.
Oh, is that how it happened? I didn't know that.
Oh my God, yeah, dude. Like this was a get upon get. Like,
how did he find out about it?
I probably through his reps would be my guess. Okay. We fell in a hiatus between seasons. Huge thank you. I actually saw one of the heads of FX at the UFC fight this past weekend, and I just thanked him because it actually they have to really allow him to go do that type of work. And I said, thank you. I mean, JD is just a frickin' star.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He is even just a stud.
He even came in and read for it. You remember? I remember seeing, and then having the Zoom call with him, read live with us there. And, and you knew right away, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the guy. Like, this is.
It wasn't a question. He just owned it. He really was the guy. And I think we may have mentioned this, but Chris is like some movie stars or actors might be intimidated by casting that guy. Not me. I love it. Bring it on. I want the challenge. I want to act with him. I want to take him on. And it was really, I think, important that, because this is what's also interesting is, vengeance is one means towards justice. That's what Reece in the book is going through. We don't have the ability to have the inner monologue that you have in the book.
Right.
So we need characters where that inner monologue is being transported into dialogue.
Yeah.
So who does he have those conversations with? Right. And so by taking somebody from the literal justice department, right, and putting them into this, it's very interesting. And it's also there are rules that Reece has in terms of who's on the list and who's not. And we'll get into that in subsequent episodes. But it gets really interesting, right? If you have this obstacle that you can't kill based on your code. And so all that stuff comes into play through, and I can't believe, we were having so much fun talking about the just scope, I think, of 104, that, part of that scope is the introduction of Tony and the FTF. And then here, man, early in this episode, he and Mac walk in and have that rockin' scene with Jai up in his office with Horn and the tattoos. The tattoos. That's
and the bone frog.
The bone frog, right? And
it's fantastic.
Mac calling
the
it
intro,
out.
like he's finishing up his working out. He's got his protein shake and the Gwyneth Paltrow line, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
because everybody's heard it. They're like, "Oh yeah, I remember I heard that somewhere." She has how many $250 smoothie? Is that what it is?
$250. Literally, I found that online. Moon dust.
Yeah.
It's just, what? It's got to be true if I found it online, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I love that. It's such a great scene. And then they trip him up a little bit. Did you piss off James Reece?
Yep.
And you get that one beat where, I'm not familiar with that name. Like that's
he did so well with that line too. I just watched it again last night, and he delivers that so well. That man, he was great. And the tattoos, Dave, I think you brought him up. That was Max Adams. That didn't he? And Bridget, I think, was it those two that worked on that from makeup? That exactly. And Max had a buddy that was a tattoo artist or something, didn't he? And
he found him.
Worked together.
He found him.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think they're buddies now, but like real, like unbelievable work and just massive because we had to create. You just never have enough time, like right. That's part of making a show. I think even when you're making a movie, but definitely when you're making a show, you never have enough time. And so even though we knew that tattoo was coming, we had been so fraught getting all of Taylor's tattoos right. In the early episodes.
Oh yeah.
Even this one ended up like, oh crap. And all of the fine tuning and adjustments. It's a wicked sleeve, actually. It's really cool. Yeah. And then Christina just calls him out. Or he could be full of shit. Such a great.
Yeah. She delivered.
According to your tattoos, you and Reece served in the same unit.
So great.
You could be full of shit.
And he Jai runs through all his dialogue about it, and then Christina just looks at him like, okay. And just so great, just so well done. Just she crushed it as well.
Yeah, and really,
touching that operator culture.
It's really cool. I mean, that whole FTF, Alexis Louder, who you had worked with on Tomorrow War, right, Jared?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
we did. We were on a team, a kill team together, her and myself and another fella, and so that was one that wanted to bring her along because she's as solid as they come. Great actress, just does
so cool,
does amazing.
So cool. And then Drew Starkey. Who is also just like another rising star who heard about the show, wanted to get in on it. We're like, yes, please. He's on featured on Outer Banks. He's now doing movies. The kid is crushing it. It's just an awesome group, that FTF.
That's the Fugitive Task Force right there. So they we get to see them once again, and not in the book, but necessary here. And we also have great characters. Yeah. And then we have the Reece and Tony Leeuwen interactions, plural, coming up, which are pretty cool as he kind of unravels this, what's going on throughout the course of his time in the series, which is awesome. And then, so we got that scene right there. We have the horn, we have Tedesco, and we have an EFP being built. Explosively formed penetrator.
Whoa.
And I have not seen another show movie go through the steps that we show in this one. Like people, and I did that in the book. I made sure that I left one important thing out. But in the books, I try to get it as close as possible to really building one of these things or building any sort of an IED, just so that those guys, those EOD guys who have gone down range and have done the job say, ooh, these guys did their homework, or in the book say this guy did his homework. Yeah. But also notice that I leave something out, so they won't have to deal with it like tomorrow if someone reads the book. Yep. But the way we show it is a really cool way to do it. And in the book, I made sure that I have it through someone else's eyes. So this is where I have it through Liz Riley's eyes, and her watching from across the hangar. So I can kind of not just have Reece doing this, boom, boom, putting it together like that. But I'm one more step removed, just so that maybe someone's not going to put it together because she's not seeing exactly everything because she's kind of across the hangar and it's through her eyes. But here we have the camera that pans, and I mean, I wasn't there for that shot, but you guys essentially built an EFP.
Yeah, I mean, Gary, this is I don't know if Gary had spoken to you or just on his own, because we all know that story of how careful you are. And really also why there are some redactions and things also in the books. They come sometimes from this of like, it's important not to show everything. And so Gary and the props team, And really, like, Gary was there this day making sure that like the labels weren't saying each ingredient. Like, this is one where authenticity is being effed with on purpose, right? Because you have to be careful. Yeah. Yeah.
It gets pretty dang
It gets pretty dang close. Exactly. And
you don't see the exact things in there. Yeah. You did such a good job with it.
Such a good job.
Love it.
But it's interesting. You brought up like Liz Riley's point of view. And I think this is, along with being a Horn episode, it's a real Liz / Tyner episode. Mm-hmm. And those scenes with them in the hangar.
Yeah. And
God damn, like that, like, you know, the morning that he discovers that it was, you know, his chain of command, that he, you know, he's had this incredible scene with Chris has had this scene with Constance in the alleyway. He's found out the truth about it. He's got the cap table, and Ben gives him those names. And holy shit, right? The Warcom trio was part of this. And Reece just, there's like, you see it just turn in Chris's face. And also how they shot it with that kind of like, you know, at the hangar door with that fog outside. And he goes over and he's just like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And Liz is like, ooh, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Mm-hmm. And he tells a story, right, from the opening of how they came for him. And he's got Donnie in there. Mm-hmm. And she calls him out, right? The fact that Donnie would have been in grade school. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this in another podcast, but look, what do you remember what color hat Donnie was wearing in the operation?
There you go, back to the
it's
like the maroon red. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so red is a significant color.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there are clues and stuff that come through that visual literacy. Yeah.
I'm learning things. See, I love when I learn things on this. This is great. I love doing this podcast just to do it, to get to hang out with you guys and revisit some memories from the show. But I also love the things that I'm learning that I didn't know before.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's a little Easter egg. And I think also the patch, who designed the patch, the platoon patch that we used in Najaf? Do you remember, Jared? Because that one we made red. We made red as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I got to watch it again. I got to go. Yeah. I got to go watch it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really, I mean, like, so, you know, we have a little clue there and then it pays off because Liz calls him out. Mm-hmm. But Reece won't be stopped. Right. Yeah. And he's still, the way he's going to use this, a la the book, right? It's going to be targeted, very specific. And he talks her into staying with him in this moment. Mm-hmm. But whoa, no plan. Nothing ever really goes according to plan, even if you're Reece, right? Man.
Yeah, it's like just like real life. Yeah. The Terminal List podcast is presented by Kansas City Cattle Company. Kansas City Cattle Company believes in keeping things authentic, and they believe if you taste the product, you'll taste the difference. Kansas City Cattle Company is veteran owned and operated and delivers Wagyu beef and other high quality proteins with a palatable difference to all 50 states. They have Brookshire pork, pasture raised chicken sourced from another veteran owned company, and sustainably caught seafood. They're also known for their world famous Wagyu hot dog, which was featured by foodandwine.com in a viral article saying they had found a hot dog that tasted like steak. Other best sellers are their Wagyu steak, briskets, and tri-tip roasts. There's also been buzz about their Wagyu bacon cheeseburger brats. Other favorites include Wagyu hanger steak, Wagyu bone-in ribeye, and their Wagyu chuck-eye steaks. The team started Kansas City Cattle Company to bridge the gap in high-quality proteins and top-notch animal husbandry practices to the end consumer. They believe good protein starts with good conditions for the animals. As the company grew, they hired their first employee, a veteran, just getting out of the Army. From there, their new mission to hire an all-veteran staff was born. Today, their mission now includes serving high-quality protein to those they once served and helping other veterans find their new mission post-service. Save 15% on the exclusive Terminal List collection at kccattlecompany.com/Jack Carr with code JackCarr15. That is JackCarr 15. That's KC Cattle Company, KCCATTLECOMPANY.com/Jack Carr, JackCarr, and use that code JackCarr15. Yo, but there's so much to unpack on this one. And one of those things is that in the book, it's one of those other, I wouldn't say turning point, but it's one of those things that accelerates his transition into an insurgent because now he's using this thing that was used so effectively against us downrange. And I talk about that in the book. And obviously those who have been downrange over the last 20 years, I know that the EFP is coming in from Iran on these rot lines. I mean, they're a tactical level weapon, meaning they're used here on the battlefield, but they had strategic importance because they really brought superpower to its knees, essentially. So anyway, Reece is becoming that insurgent, one more step down that path in becoming that insurgent. He's growing, hair is growing longer, beard's growing in more. He's using these tactics, techniques, procedures of the enemy, EFB being a big one. So there's that piece to it as well. And then once again, for those who have read the book, they're like, wait a second, wasn't there a different person against in the book, but kind of similar, Van, kind of how's this? So it's that conflation again, where you're bringing things in from the book, foundationally true to the book, but wait a second. And then wait a sec, Horn, what the hell? Yeah.
What the big bad in episode 5.
And most people love it. There's always the few that are going to be like, not like the book. I hate it. But some people are like, oh, no way. And they love that it's different. Yeah. And, it's that's probably a better way to go through life. But it's just hating everything, but embrace it. And understand why. And think about it a little bit. Because I think it's fantastic because it throws people that are expecting Horn to make it all the way to the end and to be the last, one of the last people to instead be, wait, we didn't just pass the halfway point and then wait, oh no, what is going on here? And has Ben good and what's happening? So I really like that.
Yeah. That's it. It's a buddy of mine who's a showrunner for another streaming service that we won't mention. But he watched the pilot with me this weekend. And we set up a projector and had some people over. It was fun, like good celebration. In the ending of the pilot, with Lauren and Lucy being killed, he literally gasped out loud and was like, "No." And we talked afterwards, and like again, people might not know this, but like, you do not do that in American television. Like, no one does it. It's just kind of like verboten, crazy. Don't touch that stuff. And we had to fight for that moment. And Amazon and MRC supported it once we said why, right? Because it fuels everything that Reece does. But storytelling wise, what it signals is like anything is on the table. Mm-hmm. Anything is on the table. And we knew as we got deeper into the season, we needed another moment like that said anything is on the table, especially for the book fans, because we're trying to create surprises, again, honor and surprise. And it was killing Horn here, where we were like, oh my God, this is that moment. Mm-hmm. And the book fans will be like, wait, I think I was just, what? Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. And it's just, I agree with you. Like, and I fully understand, like, loving a book and wanting to see it go, direct page to screen. But like, I think the direct adaptation, and we've talked about this, is Ray Porter reading.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. These books, they're incredible. The audiobooks are amazing.
Yeah. Shout out to Ray. He's awesome.
Big shout out. And it's like, and you just, especially now that you have Chris in your head and these people, like, you can just imagine, boom, you can watch the whole series just by listening to Ray.
Yeah.
But if
Dave,
yeah.
Dave, you hit on something with, saying from the beginning with his family dying, anything was on the table, and same thing with Horn. And I think we've all agreed from the beginning, anything was going to be on the table because we all knew this show was going to be different, and we didn't want to follow those guidelines and be put in a box. We wanted to be creative. Jack, we wanted to bring your story to life, and do it in a different way, and so I love that, having that option of anything's on the table. Let's do this. Let's make it work.
Yeah, no, I love it as well. And I don't know, I've never talked to other authors about it because most of the time authors aren't involved in the process of bringing their books to the screen. They're usually just, Hollywood wants to get rid of them right away, so they're not causing problems on set saying, you ruined this. And they can do that afterward. That allows them to say, if it's not good, that also allows them to say, Hollywood messed it up, and everyone goes, yeah, Hollywood messed it up. And I don't have that option. When you're involved in the day-to-day, you're all in.
You're all in.
And I've learned so much, and I appreciate you guys trusting me and bringing me into the fold from the very beginning, and being a part of this from our first conversation on the phone, Dave, back in December of 2019, and then talking every day since, and putting this whole thing together.
That was the best part, was to like kind of finish up with the writer's room and then ping you on the phone or text and be like, oh, I think we're gonna chase them down. I think we're gonna see them. Like, who is that? Like, who does that? And you're like, and then you ping back, you're like, oh, it's time for the FTF. That's who we're going to bring in.
Ping my FBI buddy.
You ping your FBI buddy, and then you're like, okay, Fugitive Task Force, here's who they are. And then you and I start talking about it, start figuring out who's going to lead them, all that stuff. And that part is great, because it's like you get to have fun as well.
Yep. And you're invested in it. And but before we get to that EFP, which is such a great scene with Katie, we have another scene with Katie, a little different than the book. And there she is right there.
Oh, man.
Boom. Look at that. There she is right there.
Yeah.
Getting to rock that Glock right there. So we have that. So she gets, a little different than the book there, but then she walks outside and she's flustered, and we have our buddy Ray Mendoza coming across the street to assassinate,
headshot,
and then boom, takes that headshot and takes that fall.
Oh my God.
And remember we filmed that? So I was there for that. It was so fun to be there. But do you guys remember that tunnel in LA where we're filming this thing, and there was just like some homeless guys you couldn't move.
Oh,
and they're just there.
It was tough, man. That was
it's so
tough.
sad. I mean, you're thinking about that, and you're like, oh man, and that really stuck with me. When you see, I mean, it's just such a sad state of affairs. But I mean, I think we tried to wake them up and kind of move them off, and they're just there.
They're just part of it. Become part of part of the scene and the fabric. And and that scene though, we're down. I can't remember the name of the street, but it's down by Disney Concert Hall. We turned it into a BART station from San Francisco. And it may be the most rewatched scene by Jared Shaw during post-production. I think pretty much any time we were in 105, Jared demanded that we see Ray take that shot.
Not that
shot
I want
to the head.
Yeah, not that I want to see Ray getting shot
Never.
in the head.
No. That's
just
fall,
how
it's
good
the
he
fall.
is.
It was so
it's
impressive.
It's
incredible.
I mean, he fully committed on that, and he did. I don't remember how many takes Dave and Jack.
I think he got it in maybe one. Honestly,
he got it. I mean, he nailed it.
Yeah,
but he had, we kept having to get a few more takes, and he committed every single time and just sold it, just absolutely crushed.
So people watch that. Watch episode 5. Watch our buddy Ray Mendoza walking across the street to kill Katie, unzip the jacket, grab that pistol, and then wham! Out of nowhere comes Reece. Bam! Shot to the head, and Ray takes that shot. Goes down so hard.
So good.
It's awesome.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Wow. Yeah.
That whole sequence.
I
I love that sequence. That's like some classic espionage thriller stuff. The meeting down in the BART station that gets interrupted by Talos as they move in. Also, former SEAL playing. Former SEAL playing that role.
So great.
And
so good.
Into the chase through the stairwell, into that insane moment with Katie / Constance, into that insane moment with Ray Mendoza and Reece. Like, it's just boom, 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 one after another.
You know, and what I love also is that all these characters who are either their Talos operator or whatever they are in this, that come in for a little bit or maybe a couple episodes or maybe even one scene. I want to see more of them. I'm like so excited for each and every person that comes in. We talked about the doctor in Mexico in the last one. I want to see more of that guy. He's so good. Like, everybody that comes in for their part crushes, and I want to see more of them in future things. In fact, when I'm thinking about it, season 2, I'm always like, oh man, I guess we can't really bring them in because they've been
they're done.
Can they shave or whatever?
But like, John Atkins is in our show twice. People don't know that. We'll mention that when we get to 106. But it can happen sometimes.
Nice. Well, I hope it can happen after episode 3.
I see what's happening here. We're thinking we gotta be thinking about cameo for True Believer here.
Keeps getting killed. This guy's not a very good assassin. He's got the Groundhog Day with this guy. You know, maybe we'll get it at some point.
True Believer, colon,
Gordo's Revenge. More of a B film, but spin off. But then we move and we have a heat scene, and once again, look at this. We got these guys right here. Boom.
Oh,
right there. Yep. There we go. Yep. JD and Christina right there. All of this is so great, but that's them. And we're talking about them a little bit earlier, and they have a bigger role here in the next episode in 106. But I love this. I mean, this is so cool. We have a little diversion with another van. Liz is there, and we have Reece, and he's just told Katie, you come on step on the battlefield again. He gives her the warning. You're in play.
Yes.
And now it comes down to it. And it will he or won't he?
Yes.
It's kind of from the book, and people are, some people that the ending's a little different, but this has a little shadow here.
Yeah, a little inspiration from that, right? We always find ways to bring those crucial moments in. And again, Horn, that Katie beat, all these things, we're moving them forward in the story, but the same moment emotionally. And from the character point of view.
Right.
And that's one where Tucker and Armando, again, this is another one where just behind the scenes, you got to give props to our AD department, the assistant director department. That is the communication center of a show. And when you have that many cars, that many extras, that many departments working together at an intersection in a downtown of a major city, your communication, all of that, right?
Rifles, gunfire,
it's just
fires,
bonkers, absolutely bonkers. But really, that moment and the way Ruth's music kind of stops down. Oh, and then when we get into post-production and the sound team gets it, they're building that whole soundscape outside of maybe actually it's a rare moment where the load and the gun, it's a full load round blank in there, which is crazy. I don't know how you're really allowed to do that. They have to kind of canvass the neighborhood, tell everybody that a production will be filming in downtown. We'll be using full loads. You'll be hearing this. Don't worry. But it's just crazy. It was insane when it was happening. And then you get to the edit. Scott Turner, our editor, is working with Tucker, the director, building this thing. And you just, we barely touched it, Jared, right? Really, most of the stuff that happened was there were little pieces of authenticity. We had Ray in there, come in there as well, and little moments for the tradecraft of what he's doing. Visual effecting, a scope cover away, right? We're gonna get rid of those all the time from now on.
Next time I'm going through first day, I'm just going in. I'm not even telling anybody, because sometimes I remember I asked about changing something on a weapon when that first week I was on set, and it was like, oh, you can't because it's this and something or other. Well, I'm going through and I'm going to take every single scope cover. And I might not throw them out. I've threatened to throw them out before, but I think I'll just put them in a bag. And at the end, at the very end, I'll just like hand it back at the very end. You know, it's kind of like like for the kids, your iPad is being, we're taking it away. Yeah. I'm putting it in the safe. Your iPad, you've lost it for a month. Yeah. You've lost your iPad privileges. You've lost your scope cover privileges. I'll give it back to you when you've proven to me that, So I think that true believer will have me sneaking around stealing scope covers. Not stealing, liberating for a limited amount of time and then returning. Yes. Perfect. So I think that's the best way. But this is our heat scene.
Yes.
This is our heat scene. And in the book, I love, people really did love this one line that's not in the show, and it's one that I didn't know how I was going to deal with in future books, but I knew it was so important for this first one, for that revenge without constraint, coming out as hard hitting as I possibly could, to get it noticed by a New York publishing house, recognized by resonating with readers and all that sort of a thing, and it's in the final scene, and Katie has debt cord around her head in the book, and she's about to get her head blown off. Reese is warned that if he kills this person, her head's going to get blown off, and what does he do? Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Kills 3 people. Yep. And then rescues Katie, gets her out of there, and he's about to make his exit into the epilogue when she snaps out of her trance after being in shock from this kidnapping, this traumatic experience she's been in, and asks him, after this whole thing that they've been through, how did you know that that dead cord wasn't connected? How did you know that my head wouldn't get blown off? And I take that beat in the novel, and Reese says, I didn't. Yeah. And then turns and runs off to the epilogue, essentially. And guys love that line. Yeah. Ladies, not so much. Yeah. But it resonates with everybody. Yeah. And I had to figure out, hey, how am I going to deal with this? And I finally dealt with it in Savage Son, in my third book, but really had to think through how I was going to do that, and came up with a creative solution by doing research into surgeries and all sorts of things. And Katie takes more of a main role there in questioning Reese to find out, because she needs to know. She's not just along for this ride. She's an investigative journalist and very smart. So, but this is the nod to that, is to seeing her. He's warned her, but he once again Chris, he takes that one beat, and boom. So he could have done what he planned to do. It's a little bit off because Katie's there, and he takes that pause, and then we get our heat scene because of it, which is awesome. And I love how this worked out.
Unreal. And you talk about a heavy day. Again, this is what's insane about this show and about TV versus film. And, we were down there for a few days, but, there's a lot of talking, a lot of cars that are moving, a lot of coverage of different parties' points of view down there. Our Reese Day, which was an EFP, a gunfight, and a final getaway car chase, we filmed in one day.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And that's where you need a Tucker Gates, you need an Antoine Fuqua, you need all this incredible array of directors that we got. The reason we hired, that Antoine was like setting such this high bar with the pilot, and then was like, everybody who comes after has to have this combination of camera and character, is because of a day like this. And Tucker I've never seen anything like it, it Tucker's just in a zone.
Wow.
He's just like, camera's over here. Boom. Camera's over here.
Tucker. Because then he captured this. And once again, these photos are Justin Lubin right here. And you guys can see that.
Ooh.
So great.
There he goes. There goes CP getting after it. It's awesome.
And cool tactics in that final set piece as Ray, and you guys are working on that. The diversion with the smoke that he tosses. Yep. And then he kind of moves around. And I think it's Duffy, right, who's firing where he thinks he's coming because of the smoke. And then Reese comes around and kind of flanks Duffy and takes him out.
And even prior to that, having his rifle, his M4, broken down in his backpack, which is a kind of a cool sequence that took place there, showing him
taking that out, putting it together.
Exactly. And the audience gets to see that, he just doesn't magically have his M4 there waiting to rock and roll. You know, he's got to put it together. He's got to go through the steps while all this stuff is going on.
Little battle damage assessment. Okay, that didn't work the way I thought. Okay, I got to go finish this off, or I got to go make sure.
That's
and
it.
Then time to go to work.
Oh,
That's what he does best.
And so showing that process playing out, and Jack, like you said, Reece doing BDA and looking and seeing like, okay, now I have to go finish the job, and then taking the steps to ultimately get to Horn. And you know, the tactics being employed with the smoke, like you were talking about, Dave, is magnifier on, magnifier off, like that. Thanks, flipping that over. You know, those things are important. We get a mag change at the end. We get transition to pistol, a reason to transition to pistol. So it's I love how this one came together, and it's a surprise. And it's different, once again, different than the tunnels, different than Sicario raid.
Oh, different
than Najaf. You know, now he's a one man doing this thing. Insurgent, EFP, following up, and then a surprise for the audience as well. And of course, we should just call this thing the Terminalist Spoiler Podcast. Is what we should change the name to, because then we get this right there.
Oh man! And Chris was telling this story. On the way to UFC, and this is again, you know, one of the joys of a team like this. You know, we had written in the writer's room the kind of classic final line, you know, some version of "I'd kill you 10 times if I could," you know, thing was like, this is the guy, right? This is the big boss. You're gonna say something as you go up, and then like we're talking about it on the day. He's like, I don't want to say it, and we're like, okay, why?
Just one take with it.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just one take. He's like, no, if I say it once, you're going to put it in. It's like,
used.
Okay, so you know what's the reasoning? Because you hate this guy, and it's like, yeah, if I hate this guy, I'm just going to put him down. I'm not going to.
You shot me in the other leg.
Like,
I'm very badly burned.
Exactly. I'm not going to give any moment. Any moment for anyone to fuck it up. I'm just going to get there, and I'm going to put him down.
Because that's what you're going to do. I remember Last Boy Scout, you know, with Bruce Willis back in the day. And he's like, hey, this being the 90s, you can't just hit a guy. You got to say, like, if you have a surfboard, you got to say something cool first. Like, surf's up, pal. You know? You know? Like, we move beyond that, especially with what we're trying to do, you know, in this series, and keep it rooted in the foundations of both the novel and reality. You know, and I've had to finish the job.
Yeah, I've had operators call me about that moment right there as well. Like they love the fact that he walked right up there and just domed him, you know, and you know, reloaded and was out, you know, and that was they then they said the same thing. They're like, you know, I'm not going to go up there and have monologue. I'm not going to go, you know, go. I'm just going to go shoot this dude in the face, and I'm gone. I'm beating feet, you know. So that was powerfully done. Well done.
Tradecraft.
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this. I think we have the Eberly stock pack on here. We got Solomon shoes. Of course, we got the magnifier on there on the M4. I think these are the Dynamis jeans, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he ended up loving those. Chris loved those Dynamis
they are.
jeans.
They've got that stretch in them. You know. Yeah. The ladies in their yoga pants, they were ahead of us by about a decade. Now, like every jean out there is now really denim.
The same
thing. They knew.
Yeah.
Oh man!
I think a Black Rifle Coffee hat on in here. You know, the stuff that guys actually wear, and that Eberly stock pack is like made to do what Chris uses it for here. And then we get to see that Horn, you know, isn't really as tough as he made out to be in those earlier episodes where he's running through the house and checking his heart rates and all that. You Hiram,
Hiram, dude, that final scene.
He's so good.
Yeah.
So
Hiram Murray.
Good. Yes.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him in other things.
Yeah.
Great.
So what's his line? You know, like, sack up. What does he say?
It's time to nut up, fanboy.
Yeah.
It's really great.
He's former military as well.
He is.
He was I think a Marine or something.
Yeah.
Remember when he auditioned?
Marine.
Yeah. When he read for that role, we were like, yep, that's him.
Done.
There he is. Easy day. He did great.
So
really, he's going to do big things.
He will.
Yep. No, I think so. So many people are. Like, so many people that have these roles in here are going to just take it to the next level. You can sense it. You can see it. And you want them to also as a viewer. It's not just like, this person. No, you want to see them go on and do something in another show because they're that good.
And they're good people.
Right.
I mean, that's really the thing. You know, we just, no assholes need apply. We always take that to heart. And
exactly. And we get a great Reece line here also with Katie a little earlier before this scene. The men who killed my friends and family are not going to prison.
Oh,
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
She wants that public accountability. Mm-hmm. He just wants stone cold vengeance. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's like where the difference in their agendas comes into play right in that moment.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
And we get a G-Wagon, not in the beginning.
Yeah.
But
here we go.
So there's little things like that for people to notice. Like here's the G-Wagon. Okay, it's not in the opening scene, that we just saw at the beginning of episode 4 with the sniper shot.
Yeah.
Because as we talked about, the G-Wagon, boom, goes over and will skid along on that side without rolling like that Porsche did. So we had to change it, but here it is, making an appearance. And we have those crazy cars. What are those things called?
Rezvanis. The Rezvanis. Yeah, the Rezvani tank.
In there.
A lot of people have been asking about those. Yeah. George's team found
How did we find those? How did George's Zach
team
find those?
Yeah, he and his picture car team, they knew, that Horn kind of operated on the cutting edge of things. And so I think we had kind of written them in as up armored Humvees. Kind of as a nod to downrange and stuff. And then George brought those in because you'll have a prep meeting with each department and your episodic director before you shoot the episode. And those were in the prep meeting. And we just like saw the look and we're like, yep, that's Horn. That's Capstone. Like right there. Totally. It killed it. And then we got to give a hat tip to Jimmy Lorimer and special effects for that EFP explosion.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's what I was about to bring up. Like the audience can see the slug going through, Jack, as we know, it's so fast, but the fact that it's able to be portrayed on screen where you now understand it comes full circle when Reece is explaining to Liz what he's doing and he's going to be precise about it. He's not just making an explosion that's going to wipe everybody out. He's going to be extremely precise. And so we see it come full circle in that moment when you see that slug just go through there. It's like, oh, wow, well done. So you're exactly right, Dave. Jimmy and his team, phenomenal.
Awesome.
Incredible. Yeah, so many things stand out about this episode. It's such a great one. The heat nod, the EFP, everything that went into it. Katie, the dialogue. I mean, man, you guys crushed it. And it was so cool to be there to see Ray and take that fall. I'm going to go watch it again tonight. I mean,
good one.
Jeez, Ray, thank you, buddy.
Thank you for everything, Ray.
Yeah, War Office Productions, technical advisor on the show, and, actor in the show as well. I mean,
he's actually in the show, I think, like 3 times. You don't know it, but he's in there multiple times.
Yeah, you see him running through the house with Mikey Sowers and the crew that we got in there when we meet Steve Horn and he's getting his heart rate
and he's on the beach with Alpha Platoon in the opening.
Nice.
Yep.
And So
and he's a buds instructor.
So
cool. And he's a buds instructor.
That's nice.
I don't remember what episode that was, but he's a buds instructor. Yeah. Man of many talents. He's good.
Oh. Nice. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, brother. But man, that is awesome. That is episode 5. Oh man. Thank you guys. Too much fun. Appreciate you guys doing this. And let's go on to episode 6. Let's keep it going. Let's keep rolling.
All right.
Awesome.
Do it.
Awesome. Thank you for listening to the Terminal List podcast, an Ironclad original brought to you by KC Cattle Company. If you like the show, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me at Jack Carr USA on the social channels. OfficialJackCarr.com is the email. You can sign up for the newsletter there. And be sure to follow David DiGilio at DiGilio Films. That's DIGILIO Films on Instagram. And you can't follow Jared anywhere except on this podcast. So we're very fortunate that we got him for this because he's not on the social channels, but you will find him as Boozer in the Terminal List and a lot of amazing things going forward. So thank you guys so much for doing this. It means the world to me.
Thank you.
And let's talk about 6.